Hey, I'm Trig. This is Believe to Achieve. The Achievement Diary Cape. The pinnacle of my adventures so far, and a collection of pixels still out of reach. One piece to this puzzle of epic size is the Korend Elite Diary, an assortment of assignments with various requirements, from the daunting 95 Slayer grind to kill the alchemical Hydra, to braving the deeps of Mount Quitamortem and completing a Chambers of Xeric raid. And wouldn't you know it, one of my best friends just recently reached out to me about Chambers. Knowing that I was back playing the game, Zoops approached me, asking if I wanted to learn with him. He'd never ran Duo Chambers before, and I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to learn this awesome piece of content that I'd never ran before, with my friend of over 20 years now. I was missing something. A critical piece of equipment all serious raiders bring into the Chambers of Xeric. Yep, the legendary Lego hammer that drops defense on a successful spec. That's what I needed before I'd let myself go in. You see, I ran through our Theater of Blood run for a night at the theater as the only bum without a hammer. And that just wasn't going to happen again. So I let him know that yes, I'd love to learn Chambers of Xeric, but right after I get this important item. No problem. Right? I was so excited to start the Shaman grind. Words may be spoken by no player ever, but this was about to be my first long grind, so uncrushed spirits and all that. Oh, how foolish I was, thinking that this would be a quick in-out 15-minute adventure type farm. You see, I had only killed like 200 or so shamans from Slayer assignments up to this point, so their mechanics hadn't quite chafed on me yet, and I was all smiles and eagerness walking into those caves. It'll only take, a few thousand kills and days of camping before it came to me that, wow, I think I'm going to be stuck here for the long haul. But what a haul it ended up being, at least for my bank value. The shamans have a pretty decent loot table for a low mid-level monster with no requirements to farm, and I saw plenty of what I assume were either Ironmen or very broke lads farming these things with magic shortbows. Now, there were certainly trips where it felt like the only garbage dropping was air runes, unneeded Xeric's talismans, and so many pieces of salad rope material. But most trips were anywhere between 2 and 500k in alks, plus some nice seeds or non-alchable drops. Even the chili potato was nice, as I was running a setup without food, and the potatoes allowed me some mistakes if I was dancing around the purple bombers. And so the grind continued, day in and day out. But despite my almost single-minded determination to run through as many shamans as possible every day, I did have a little side project growing in the background. Oh yeah, Operation Farm Up to 88 for the Fally Elite Diary was in hard effect during this time. Little progress update for those of you that are curious. During this Lizardman farm, the only Elite Diary that I'd finished was the Lumbridge for that sweet, unbridled freedom of not needing the cinnamon stick of fairy porting to use those wonderful rings. And now, the only thing that was stopping me from claiming that elite mole tracking shield of legend was a little herb picking, tree chopping, berry picking, you know, standard procedure for farming. It attests to the value of killing the shamans that I was able to fund so much farming XP, eventually moving up to magic trees and dragon fruits in my tree and fruit tree slots. Not a cheap endeavor. Add in the stable exchange of herbs for money, whether that be Cadentine at first or Torstol as I was trying to push more experience later on. And this whole series of events, while repetitive at times true, was helping me rebuild a very solid foundation for my future plans in the game. On top of everything that I've already mentioned, at some point I also started including the Celestris tree in the farming guild to help boost my XP. I didn't even realize that there were hardwood patches on Fossil Island until I did some reading on the wiki, and I went and started incorporating hardwoods into my route as well. Unfortunately, I haven't done very much Prifddinos content, so not very many crystal shards to do any crystal tree farming, but it didn't affect me too much. I don't feel like I was missing out on much. I also ran all the way down to that cow plot every day to pick those big old gourds and throw them right on the floor. Regarding the farmer's outfit that you see me wearing in a lot of these clips, I ran just enough of the Tithe Farm minigame to get said outfit. Don't have the seed box yet, but I do plan on going back, as I quite enjoy the minigame, and inevitably once I start training the skill up again, Tithe Farm's probably how I'll start off, at least until I have the box. Honestly, I enjoy farming, as it's a skill that just dumps huge XP all over your face for about 15 to 30 minutes of running around and paying off the gardeners every day. As I grew closer and closer to the 5,000 kill mark, the fire of wanting to be there had warped, twisted into a burning need to get that elusive hammer. At this point, I was in way, way too deep to walk away from this grind. So back I went, over and over and over. And then one day, amidst all the discarded salad fabric and chewed on, stepped on chili potatoes, it happened. There it was. After over 5,200 shaman kills, it had finally dropped. At the end of a trip when I'm sure my spirits were not the highest.
Congratulations!
Finally, with the acquisition of the Dragon Warhammer, I had acquired the piece I felt was missing. The last key, beyond which lay the Chambers of Xeric. Ecstatic couldn't quite encapsulate how I was feeling in that moment. I wasn't recording, so no live reaction unfortunately. But the glorious red smashing machine in my hand was like a dream. Like I mentioned earlier, this was my first real grind for an endgame item. A grind that I looked at differently to the Quest Cape, as the Quest Cape was something that I did for fun, where this I knew would be an essential for future PVM content. So this is definitely one of my favorite items, and I like to show it off whenever it makes sense to do so. Overall, this grind took about 10 days of committed farming. As for how the first Chambers run went, well, that's a story for another time. With the hammer in hand, I was ready to continue forward properly on my quest for the Achievement Cape. Lumbridge had already been conquered, which put Falador and Relica in my sights as the next diaries to finish. If you enjoyed this short story of a man conquering lizards for a bonk and stick, leave a like. I stream at least 3 times a week, right here at Trig Time. So if you don't want to miss out on my future escapades, make sure to subscribe. To everyone that made it this far, thank you for the support. And may the RNG be ever in your favor.